When was the last time you looked at someone and truly saw them? Not the version they show the world, not the mask they wear to survive, but the truth hiding beneath their eyes, the silent story they're too afraid to tell. You've felt it, haven't you? That quiet sense that there's more going on than anyone admits, that behind every smile lies a flicker of fear, behind every word a desperate need to be understood. You notice things others don't, the pauses, the tension, the way people laugh a little too loud when they're unsure. You've always known there's a deeper code to human behavior, but no one ever handed you the key. What if I told you that the reason you can't always read people isn't because they're too complicated, but because you've been looking in the wrong place, that every truth about others begins inside you. Every emotion you sense in them is a reflection of something you've buried in yourself. The fear of being misunderstood, the need to be seen, the quiet ache of pretending to be okay. That's why smart people see differently. They don't just read expressions, they read energy. They don't listen to words, they listen to silence. They understand that people don't reveal who they are through what they say, but through what they try to hide. And here's the dark part. Most people spend their lives wearing masks so long they forget the face underneath. They build identities out of survival, trying to appear confident, kind, successful, whole. But every mask cracks under pressure. You can see it in the way someone avoids eye contact when the truth gets too close. You can hear it in the shift of their tone when they talk about something that still hurts. Every moment of tension, every little hesitation, is a confession in disguise. You just have to know where to look. To read anyone instantly, you have to first unlearn everything you think you know about people. Stop assuming honesty comes through words. It doesn't. People lie most convincingly when they're desperate to be believed. Stop assuming calmness means peace. It rarely does. The ones who appear most composed are often holding themselves together by a thread. Stop assuming anger means strength. It's usually fear wearing armor. When you start seeing these patterns, the world around you changes. You stop being fooled by appearances. You stop mistaking charm for truth. You start seeing people as living reflections of their inner battles. There's a strange kind of freedom in that. When you realize that everyone is fighting an invisible war, you stop taking their actions personally. You start understanding motives instead of reacting to them. You begin to see how pain drives behavior, how love, fear, and insecurity shape every choice. The person who interrupts you isn't trying to dominate you. They're afraid of not being heard. The one who brags isn't confident. They're terrified of being overlooked. The one who seems cold isn't heartless. They've just been hurt too many times to risk warmth again. When you start seeing people through this lens, empathy becomes effortless. Understanding becomes instinct. But this awareness comes with a price. Once you see people clearly, you can't unsee them. You can't go back to believing words over energy or smiles over silence. You'll start recognizing masks everywhere and realizing how many of them you wear too. Because the truth is, you've built your own disguises. You've hidden your pain behind laughter. You've pretended to be fine when you were breaking. You've smiled when you wanted to scream. And in doing so, you've learned the same language everyone else speaks, the language of pretending. That's why awareness begins with brutal honesty. You can't read others until you can read yourself, so look closer. Every emotion you suppress becomes the emotion you misread in others. Every lie you tell yourself clouds your ability to see truth in them. The moment you stop pretending, you start perceiving. You begin to notice how people's energy shifts when they feel safe or when they feel threatened. You feel the subtle tension in their body, the flicker of truth behind their eyes. That's the real way smart people read others. They don't analyze. They feel. They don't decode expressions. They sense alignment. They listen beneath the noise, beneath the masks, beneath the endless performance of being human. And when you learn to do that, everything changes. You stop chasing approval because you can see the insecurity behind it. You stop fearing rejection because you understand that everyone's too caught up in their own illusions to see yours. You stop being fooled by appearances, because you finally understand the world isn't made of what people show you. It's made of what they hide. And once you see that truth, you hold a kind of quiet power no one can take away. The moment you begin to see through others, something inside you starts to shift. You stop being a passenger in life and start becoming the observer, the one who watches the world unfold without being swallowed by it. You start to notice how everyone's running from something, how every smile hides exhaustion, how every opinion is secretly a cry for validation. You start realizing that the world isn't full of villains or heroes. It's full of people doing whatever they can to protect themselves from pain. And that realization changes everything. Because once you understand the game, you no longer need to play it. The truth is, most people are reacting, not living. They move through life on autopilot, ruled by emotion, by fear, by habit. They say what others want to hear. They act how they think they should. They chase comfort and call it happiness. But you, if you've made it this far, you're different. You've already begun to wake up. You've felt that pull, that whisper that says there's more depth, more truth, more to see beyond the surface. And that awareness is dangerous, because once you start seeing clearly, the illusions that once controlled you begin to lose their power. Every great shift begins with discomfort. The moment you realize how blind you've been, it hurts. It's disorienting to see the truth about others, and worse, the truth about yourself. You start questioning everything, your relationships, your goals, your identity. You begin to wonder how much of your life was built on pretending. But that's where real power begins. Because awareness isn't destruction, it's liberation. The moment you stop running from what's real, you reclaim control. You stop being a character in someone else's story. You start writing your own. And yet, most people never get that far. They get close, but they turn away. They feel the discomfort and label it confusion. They feel the fear and call it failure. They run back to the safety of ignorance, where things feel simple and predictable. But deep down, you know that comfort is the enemy of truth. The mind craves routine, but the soul craves awakening. And if you keep numbing that craving, you'll spend your life surrounded by people, yet feel completely alone. Because connection without truth is just performance. And you were never meant to live on a stage. There comes a moment when you stop asking, why don't they understand me? And start asking, why am I trying to be understood by those who don't even understand themselves? That's the moment of clarity. That's when you begin to step out of the cycle, to stop chasing love from the unhealed, approval from the insecure, validation from the blind. You begin to realize that true understanding doesn't come from others. It comes from awareness. The more you see people as they are, not as you wish they were, the freer you become. You stop expecting honesty from the dishonest, loyalty from the lost, depth from the shallow. You stop confusing potential for reality. And in that stillness, you begin to see life with terrifying clarity. This clarity gives birth to strength. You stop reacting, stop defending, stop proving. You learn to observe without absorbing, to understand without being consumed. You start to move through the world with a calm that others can feel but can't explain. That calm comes from seeing the truth and choosing peace anyway. It's not weakness, it's mastery. Because anyone can shout when they're angry. But it takes true power to remain silent when you understand everything. And that's the moment you cross the line between being lost in the illusion and becoming the one who sees through it. You begin to realize that reading others isn't about judgment. It's about awareness. It's about seeing their pain without feeding it. It's about understanding motives without getting trapped in them. It's about standing so still within yourself that the noise of the world no longer pulls you away from what's real. That is how you truly read people, not to manipulate, not to control, but to understand, to see the truth beneath the chaos. But understanding others means nothing if you never use it to understand yourself. because every insight you gain about human nature is a mirror reflecting your own. Every truth you uncover about the masks people wear will challenge the ones you still cling to. That's the paradox. Reading others leads you back to yourself. And when you finally see yourself clearly, you stop trying to fix the world and start transforming it simply by being awake. Because awareness changes energy. Energy changes perception. And perception changes everything. So don't turn away now. Don't retreat back into comfort. Stay awake. Stay aware. Let the truth unsettle you, reshape you, rebuild you. Because once you see the world clearly, you can never go back to sleep. And maybe, just maybe, that's the point. Once you awaken to the truth, you can't unsee it. You start noticing how the world runs on illusions, how people build their lives around stories they've been told, never questioning if those stories were even theirs to begin with. You see the patterns everywhere, the constant chase for validation, the fear of being forgotten, the silent competition to appear happier than we really are. It's all a game of masks. And the only way to win is to stop playing. Because the moment you see through the illusion, it loses its power over you. The opinions that once hurt you, the rejection that once broke you, the fear that once controlled you, they all dissolve in the light of awareness. But that awareness comes with a weight. It forces you to confront how much of your life was lived unconsciously, how many times you silenced yourself to fit in, how many times you ignored your intuition just to be accepted. The truth doesn't just free you, it exposes you. It strips away the lies you built your identity on. And that's terrifying. Because when the false layers fall away, what's left is raw, real, vulnerable. But that's also where your strength begins. The real kind, the kind that doesn't depend on validation or approval. The kind that can't be taken away because it comes from within. Most people will never reach that point. They'll keep numbing themselves with distractions, chasing pleasure instead of purpose. They'll keep pretending because pretending feels safe. But safety isn't peace. It's paralysis. It's a slow death disguised as comfort. And if you're not careful, it will trap you. It will convince you that staying where you are is easier than becoming who you're meant to be. But somewhere deep down, you know that's a lie. You feel it every time you stay silent when you should speak. Every time you shrink when you should rise. Every time you settle for less when you know you were meant for more. That discomfort is your soul trying to wake you up. You are not here to fit in. You are here to see clearly, to live consciously, to walk through the world unshaken by its illusions, to stop mistaking chaos for meaning and start creating meaning from within. Once you understand human nature deeply enough, you stop being manipulated by it. You see how fear drives almost every decision people make, how the need to belong makes them betray themselves, how insecurity makes them chase things they don't even want. You realize that people aren't bad, they're just lost. And in that realization, you find compassion, you find peace, you find power. Awareness gives you something that no one can teach, discernment, the ability to sense truth without needing proof, to feel energy without needing words, to understand motives without judgment. That's the gift that comes with seeing the world clearly. But that gift demands something in return. It demands that you stop lying to yourself, that you stop clinging to your own illusions, that you stop pretending you don't already know what you need to do. Because deep down you do know. You've always known. You just haven't trusted yourself enough to act on it. There's a voice inside you that's been whispering all along, guiding you, warning you, calling you back to yourself. You've ignored it for too long, drowned it out with noise, buried it under fear. But it's still there, waiting, patient, powerful. And if you quiet the chaos long enough to listen, it will lead you to something real, something lasting. Because awareness without action is wasted potential. Seeing the truth means nothing if you're too afraid to live by it. The world doesn't need more people who understand. It needs people who embody that understanding, who live with clarity, compassion, and courage. So stop running from your own awakening. Stop numbing yourself with distractions. Let the discomfort burn away what's false. Let it refine you, rebuild you, reveal you, The world around you is asleep, but you don't have to be. You can rise above the noise. You can live with eyes wide open. You can choose to see through every mask, every illusion, every lie, and still choose love. Because that's what true awareness is. Not cold detachment, but clear perception. Seeing everything as it is, not as you wish it were. Seeing darkness and still choosing light. Seeing pain and still choosing peace. That's the power of awakening. That's the freedom you've been searching for all along. The deeper you go, the clearer it becomes. Everything you were taught to believe about people, about life, about yourself, was designed to keep you asleep, to make you conform, to make you doubt your own perception. But now, you're starting to see through the fog. You're beginning to realize that awareness is the most dangerous weapon a person can have. Because once you see the truth, you stop being easy to control. You stop reacting the way they expect you to. You stop following the invisible rules that keep everyone trapped. You start thinking for yourself, and that terrifies those who still live blind. Every system, every structure, every illusion built around you depends on one thing: your distraction. The moment you start seeing clearly, you start asking questions. You start noticing how fear is used to shape behavior, how guilt is used to keep you obedient, how comparison is used to make you forget your worth. The moment you stop chasing approval, you become untouchable. The moment you stop seeking validation, you become free. And that's why awareness feels so heavy at first, because it's breaking chains you didn't even realize you were wearing. But what's on the other side of that weight is freedom. Real freedom. The kind that no one can give or take away. You've spent your whole life trying to understand people. But maybe the real challenge isn't understanding them. It's seeing who you become in their presence, who you shrink into, who you pretend to be. Awareness forces you to confront the versions of yourself that were created to survive instead of thrive. The version that stayed quiet to keep the peace. The one that played small to be liked. The one that ignored intuition to fit in. You can feel that version crumbling now, can't you? You can sense the old self fading. The one built from fear, from pleasing, from pretending. Let it fall apart. It's supposed to. You can't awaken while still clinging to who you were meant to outgrow. The truth is, awakening isn't gentle. It's not a soft light, it's a fire. It burns away illusion. It destroys comfort. It forces rebirth. It demands that you stop hiding from yourself. And most people can't handle that. They retreat the moment it gets uncomfortable. But you're still here. You're still listening. That means something inside you refuses to go back to sleep. That spark you feel, that quiet resistance against conformity, that's your real self trying to break free. You can't silence it forever. You can't keep living a life that doesn't feel like yours. You either let it die inside you, or you let it change you. And once you let it change you, nothing about your world will ever look the same again. People will call you distant when you stop entertaining shallow conversations. They'll call you cold when you stop reacting to manipulation. They'll call you selfish when you start setting boundaries. But that's not selfishness. It's self-respect. That's not arrogance. It's alignment. They'll misunderstand you because they still live through the lens of fear. They still believe peace comes from pleasing. You've seen what that leads to: exhaustion, emptiness, resentment. You've played that role and you know it ends with silence. Not the peaceful kind, the suffocating kind. The silence that comes from betraying your truth, one compromise at a time. But that ends here. Because once you see your worth, pretending to be less becomes unbearable. Every time you choose truth over comfort, you rewrite your story. Every time you choose awareness over ignorance, you shift reality. Every time you see through someone's mask and respond with compassion instead of judgment, you evolve. And that's what this journey is. It's evolution. Not of the body, but of perception. The moment you understand that awareness is power, you stop trying to change others and start transforming yourself. Because the greatest act of rebellion in a blind world is to see clearly and still choose love. You are not here to blend in. You are not here to play small. You are here to awaken, to see what others ignore, to understand what others fear, to become what others only dream of. This is your moment to rise above the illusions that once defined you, the fear that once controlled you, the expectations that once limited you. You were never meant to follow. You were meant to see, to stand still in a world addicted to noise, to live with eyes wide open, to walk through life as proof that truth is stronger than fear. So keep seeing, keep awakening, keep choosing awareness even when it hurts. Because the pain of truth is nothing compared to the prison of ignorance. Awareness changes everything, but it also isolates you. Because once you see the truth, you realize how few people actually live in it. You start feeling like a stranger among the familiar. The conversations that once thrilled you feel empty. The places that once felt like home start to feel small. You begin to crave something deeper, something real. You start hungering for honesty, for connection that doesn't need performance, for silence that feels alive. And yet, the more awake you become, the more distant the world around you feels. That's the paradox of awakening. It expands your heart, but it also tests your strength. Because to see the truth and still remain open requires courage few ever find. Most people think awareness will make life easier. It doesn't. It makes it raw. Because now you can't lie to yourself anymore. You can't call chaos peace or settle for half-hearted love. You can't ignore the voice inside you that keeps whispering there's more. You start realizing how often you've accepted less than you deserve just to feel safe. You see how often you've played small so others wouldn't feel threatened. You recognize how much of your identity was built on surviving instead of living. And once you see it, you can't go back. The truth demands transformation. It forces you to burn down everything false so something real can rise. But here's the part no one tells you. Awakening isn't about escaping the world. It's about seeing through it. It's about walking among illusions without being blinded by them. It's about standing in chaos and staying grounded in your own truth. That's the power awareness gives you. You no longer chase approval because you understand that validation is the currency of the unconscious. You no longer cling to control because you see that control is just fear dressed as certainty. You stop needing the world to make sense because you realize it never will. People are contradictions. Life is messy. Truth is uncomfortable. And yet, once you stop resisting that, everything begins to flow. The secret is surrender, not giving up, but letting go. Letting go of the need to fix, to prove, to please. Letting go of the expectations that keep you small. Letting go of the idea that peace comes from perfection. Peace comes from alignment. From living in harmony with truth, even when it hurts. That's what the wise understand. Pain isn't the enemy. Pain is the teacher. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every loss. It wasn't there to destroy you. It was there to strip away illusion, to show you where you were still asleep, to remind you that everything temporary was never meant to define you. The deeper you go, the clearer you become. You stop chasing love because you realize love isn't something to find. It's something to remember. You stop fearing judgment because you see that everyone judges from their own wounds. You stop feeling lost because you understand that even confusion has purpose. It's the space between who you were and who you're becoming. And that's where real transformation happens. Not in control, not in certainty, but in surrender. You are not who you used to be. That version of you, the one who lived for approval, who feared rejection, who settled for comfort, was never you. It was the mask you wore to survive. The real you is emerging now. The one who sees clearly, feels deeply, and moves with intention. The one who no longer runs from truth, but walks with it. The one who understands that every soul you meet is a mirror, showing you what still needs to heal. The one who knows that reading others isn't about decoding them. It's about understanding humanity at its core. And when you reach that level of clarity, you stop trying to change people. You start becoming the change that pulls others toward truth. Your calm becomes their mirror. Your honesty becomes their permission. Your presence becomes their awakening. Because people don't follow words. They follow energy. They feel truth before they understand it. And when you embody that truth, you don't need to convince anyone of anything. You simply exist, and everything around you begins to shift. So keep going, keep awakening, keep breaking the illusions, even when it hurts. Because this path isn't about being right, it's about being real. It's about remembering what the world forgot. That awareness isn't cold, it's compassionate. That truth isn't cruel, it's liberating. That seeing through the darkness doesn't make you detached, it makes you light. You were never meant to blend into the illusion. You were meant to rise above it, to stand in truth so deeply that even the blind begin to see.